Hi everyone, and welcome to another session of Looking at the Word with Beck. And I'm on a bit of a roll today, so I'm just filming my second video for the week, so I'm feeling really good about that. We're going to have a look at a passage in Matthew chapter 24, where Jesus talks about what the world will be like before his second coming. So the question is, if God is such a good and loving God, if he's the most perfect unconditional love you cannot even imagine, then the question is, why does he allow suffering and bad stuff to happen in the world? So this is too big of a question to be answered in one video, but the short answer is that God does allow humanity the gift of free choice. He works with humanity's power to choose. So from the start of human history to present, there have been consequences to our free will, which also tends to affect the whole creation, the world in which we live in. So in Matthew 24, Jesus' disciples come to him with a question, and it's basically this: Lord, what's in store for the whole world? And what will the world be like before the end of the age? Let's look at Jesus' response. So Matthew chapter 24, and I will be reading the whole chapter. Jesus speaks about the future. As Jesus was leaving the temple grounds, his disciples pointed out to him the various temple buildings. But he responded, "Do you see all these buildings? I tell you the truth, they will be completely demolished. Not one stone will be left on top of another." Later, Jesus sat on the Mount of Olives. His disciples came to him privately and said, "Tell us, when will all this happen? What sign will signal your return and the end of the world?" Jesus told them, "Don't let anyone mislead you, for many will come in my name, claiming I am the Messiah. They will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. Nation will go to war against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in many parts of the world. But all this is only the first of the birth pains, with more to come. Then you will be arrested, persecuted, and killed. You will be hated all over the world because you are my followers. And many will turn away from me and betray and hate each other. And many false prophets will appear and will deceive many people. Sin will be rampant everywhere, and the love of many will grow cold. But the one who endures to the end will be saved. And the good news about the kingdom will be preached throughout the whole world, so that all nations will hear it, and then the end will come. The day is coming when you will see what Daniel the prophet spoke about, the sacrilegious object that causes desecration standing in the holy place. Reader, pay attention. Then those in Judea must flee to the hills. A person out on the deck of a roof must not go down into the house to pack. A person out in the field must not return to even get a coat. How terrible it will be for pregnant women and for nursing mothers in those days. And pray that your flight will not be in winter or in the Sabbath. For there will be greater anguish than at any time since the world began. And it will never be so great again. In fact, unless that time of calamity is shortened, not a single person will survive. But it will be shortened for the sake of God's chosen ones. Then if anyone tells you, "Look, here is the Messiah," or "There he is," don't believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets will rise up and perform great signs and wonders so as to deceive, even if possible, even God's chosen ones. See, I have warned you about this ahead of time. So if someone tells you, "Look, the Messiah is out in the desert," don't bother to go and look. Or, "Look, he is hiding here," don't believe it. For as the lightning flashes in the east and shines to the west, So it will be when the Son of Man comes. Just as the gathering of vultures shows there is a carcass nearby, so these signs indicate that the end is near. Immediately after the anguish of those days, the sun will be darkened, the moon will give no light, the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers in the heavens will be shaken. And then at last, the sign that the Son of Man is coming will appear in the heavens, and there will be deep mourning among all the people of the earth. And they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he will send out his angels with a mighty blast of a trumpet, and they will gather his chosen ones from all over the world, from the farthest ends of the earth and heaven. Now learn a lesson from the fig tree. When its branches bud and its leaves begin to sprout, you know that the summer is near. In the same way, when you see all these things, you can know that his return is very near, right at the door. I tell you the truth, this generation will not pass from the scene until all these things have taken place. Heaven and earth will disappear, but my words will never disappear. However, no one knows the day or the hour when these things will happen. Not even the angels in heaven or the Son himself, only the Father knows. When the Son of Man returns, it will be like it was in Noah's day. In those days before the flood, the people were enjoying banquets and parties and weddings right up to the time Noah entered into the boat. People didn't realize what was going to happen until the flood came and swept them all away. That is the way it will be when the Son of Man comes. 2 men will be working together in the field. One will be taken, the other left. 2 women will be grinding flour at the mill. One will be taken, the other left. So you too must keep watch, for you don't know what day your Lord is coming. Understand this, if a homeowner knew exactly when a burglar was coming, he would keep watch and not permit his house to be broken into. You also must be ready all the time, for the Son of Man will come when least expected. A faithful, sensible servant is one to whom the master can give the responsibility of managing his other household servants and feeding them. If the master returns and finds that the servant has done a good job, there will be a reward. I tell you the truth, the master will put that servant in charge of all that he owns. But what if the servant is evil and thinks, "My master won't be back for a long time," and he begins beating the other servants, partying, and getting drunk? The master will return unannounced and unexpected, and he will cut the servant to pieces and assign him a place with the hypocrites. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So Jesus' response to his disciples' questions was a little bit cryptic, but there are a few things that we can consider. Basically, Jesus tells his disciples that the trajectory for our world is not good. In fact, things will get worse and worse. Jesus said that they would hear of wars, nations rising up against nations, and famines, and natural disasters such as earthquakes. These were but the beginning of the birth pains. So what Jesus is saying is that at his second coming, he will put things right. He will establish a golden age. However, before that, the world, in fact the whole creation, will be like a woman giving birth, going through labor before the kingdom is born. So contrary to what our society says, that we need to live for the moment and make merry, that we need to invest everything we have into making our lives more successful and into making more money, that we need to do the most good we can to make the world a better place, Jesus essentially tells us that the world we're living in is broken. It's in fact on a path towards self-destruction. Yes, we should do good, but we should also understand in general that things will get worse and worse. So people in the last days will live in a way that embraces lawlessness. And this is what we're starting to see of more and more on the news and on TV today. So do I think that the world is ending? No, I don't. there are a few important things that have to happen before Jesus comes again. So like the gospel has to be preached to the whole world, which really it hasn't, because many countries don't have a good Christian witness. And Antichrist must first be revealed and must basically start a world war. However, I do believe that we might be seeing more and more of the last days, and therefore we need to be watchful and to be ready. What Jesus is saying is that we should be mentally prepared for what to expect, and we should always be ready and be prayerful. How you can get ready is to get into a right relationship with God. So basically asking Jesus to be your Lord and Savior and receiving his gift of new life. And if you are already in a relationship with God, then you can be ready by walking with him and being in the center of his will for you. As followers of Jesus, we need to be strong and we need to be grounded in our faith, because the tough times coming can cause many to lose hope, to fall away, and to have our love for God grow cold. The great hope for Christians, which you can have too, is that we look forward to an eternal kingdom. We have a greater hope that this broken world is not the be-all and end-all, but that one day the Lord will put things right, and in his eternal kingdom there will be no more pain, no more crying, and no more suffering, because these things will have passed away. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.